least the last 3 games. What's allowed you to be so comfortable so early in your career?
I think Zach has done a great job of asking what I'm comfortable with and calling those plays. And he understands what I like in certain situations. We have a meeting the night before every week that, I go through my top 3 calls in every situation that we have, and he calls them 1, 2, 3. So he's been doing a great job of calling plays. And then, we have great players on the outside that, understand zone coverage, understand what we're trying to do with every single play.
Joe, it was your first NFL win. What was it like in the locker room afterward, just celebrating with the guys?
It was a lot of fun. But, it's one game. There's 12 more. So, we're going to enjoy this for 5 hours and then come back to work tomorrow, correct the mistakes, and move on to Baltimore.
You said after your first touchdown pass, you didn't really care where the ball went. I think you said your mom might get it. After your first win, is there any kind of special presentation? Is the ball going somewhere? Is there anything commemorative you might do?
It's going back in the ball bag. You only get so many good balls that, I'm very particular about the balls that I throw. So it's going right back in the game ball bag. We'll be using it again.
Joe Burrow gets his first NFL win. Winning is fun. Maybe he's got Magic Johnson doing his tweets as well. I think Magic Johnson putting in work for a lot of people. But Joe Burrow is awesome. He is great. I talked to him after that press conference, and when he explained to me this whole thing, the ball's going back in the bag, because I'm thinking, what do you mean it's going back in the bag?
Yeah.
You mean like saving it? You're not even going to put it on the mantle like it's that sacred? He's like, no, I want to use it again. It's a good ball. They don't come around very often where you get a good ball like that. I want to keep using that football. So I guess if they ever give him a game ball that isn't a good ball, that's the one that'll end up on the trophy case somewhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, you don't mess with a quarterback in a hot football. I mean, that's just the way it is. You do. You have, as you know, the NFL, they used to be very strict with the rules of footballs, but you have a number of footballs you play within a game. Now the NFL is much more loose with, what football you do use, to where you can have,
as long as it's inflated properly.
Well, as long as it's inflated properly, right? But as long as you have you can go I have 4 or 5 favorite footballs, and this is what I want to play with. And I know people out there might go, "What the hell? A football is a football," but it's not. They're not all constructed exactly the same. Some of them, the leather is just a little bit different, a little more tacky, better to grip, so you like that. And some of the footballs just have the right amount of protruding laces, right, to where it just comes out the right distance to where it feels really good when you wrap your knuckle around that and you go, man, my fingertips are on a sticky part of the leather football. It's great laces. And, it's just part of a quarterback and their, neurotic brains and how they like things and help them be successful.
But there's nothing neurotic about it. I mean, you think about the other sports out there, like baseballs are baseballs. Basketballs, for the most part, are basketballs. Except remember when they tried to, change they came up with some revolutionary ball that everybody in the NBA hated, 15, 20 years ago. Hockey pucks are hockey pucks. Nobody's judging the feel of a hockey puck. But even when you're kids, I remember in the 70s, we'd gather in this field in the neighborhood every day, and everybody brings a football and it throws it into a pile. And which
one's the best one?
We knew which the best. You pick them up and you hold them and you throw them and you know which one's the best one.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing. And there's a charm to that.
Right.
That never goes away. But it's how it feels when you throw it and when you have one that works. Even if it's been awarded to you as the game ball for your first ever NFL win, back it goes into the bag, and you use it again because it may help you get.
He doesn't give a damn about one win. He's not here to win once. That's the other thing too. He just won 15 and didn't lose any last year. He's not looking for any one game. Oh my gosh, I won a game in the NFL. I bet he could care less. He expects to win again this week.
I asked him about the tie from last week because I know how dismayed he was at going 0-2. It's did it feel better at all that you didn't lose last week? And he said, I didn't know how to feel. I was walking around the locker room saying to guys, how should I feel about this? I don't like it, But should I feel that way?
Yeah.
Like, what is this really? Now, if you ask the Eagles, it's a good thing. It helped get them in first place after what happened yesterday in the NFC East.
Yes.
And that tie can come in handy. The tie is the ultimate, we don't have to screw around with 8 levels of tiebreaker. Because unless other teams have ties, we'll know where the Bengals stand without saying, well, who did they play? Who did they beat? Because they're either going to be ahead by a half game or they're going to be behind by a half game. And, yeah, it would have been better to get the win. But it's better than a hell of a lot better than losing.
It is.
To have that 1-2-1 instead of 1-3 for the Bengals.
Mike, that's what's crazy about what Doug Peterson said last week on Monday. I don't know if you remember, but he came out and he goes, I wish I would have gone for it. I wish I would have just done that. Like they're going to have like a 4th and 11 or 4th and 12. I was shocked by that. I mean, I know he likes to be aggressive and kind of like push the envelope all the time, but damn. That tie, like you said, it's going to come in real handy, and especially in the NFL NFC least right now. I mean, 7, 8, and 1 might give you the tiebreaker over all the other 7 and 9 teams this year in that division.
I also asked Joe Burrow how he's feeling through 4 games because he has been rocked multiple times. We saw it last week. Malik Jackson blew him up. He got hit hard yesterday. He's not shying away from contact. He said after the game against the Browns week 2, it makes me feel like a football player. I said, what does Mom think about all this? He said, she's used to it. She's been watching me play since I was in the 3rd grade. She knows I can take a few hits. And as the guys pointed out last night on Football Night in America, the Ravens are up next.
Oh, gosh.
So more for – and they're 13.5-point favorites over the Bengals going into week 5. So, I wanted to get him to talk a little bit about the difference between the SEC and the NFL because everybody always says the SEC is the closest thing to the NFL. There's still a hell of a gap there.
No doubt.
And he didn't want to go down. He didn't want to go down that path because he understands it's humbling when you think that you are facing the ultimate competition in football and mastering it in the SEC, and you realize the gulf, the chasm between the best college football players in any given year and the best of the best who have burst through their own personal ceilings, reached an even higher level of achievement at the NFL, and they're all from 10, 15, 20 years or more, depending upon whether you're facing Tom Brady or not.
Yeah.
They're all in the same blender of 32 teams. It's a lot harder than anything you ever see in college.
Yeah, a lot harder. Yes, the SEC talent level is special. We know that it's the best in college football, but it's not the NFL. You're not having a fifth-year veteran who's not only as physically gifted as that junior in college, but he's stronger, knows more techniques, knows more nuance of the game. There's none of that, let alone the coaching. There's no 20-hour rule in the NFL. The game plans are so much more nuanced, creative, and you're dealing with just guys who are, again, a lot of the guys in the NFL were the Joe Burrows of their college football team. Hey, I'm the best player on the team. I'm the one who loves football. I'm the one that's going to lead us out of the tunnel. And now they're a corner or a safety or a linebacker, but that kind of guy who loves the game and takes pride in it. You see that more than not. And yeah, there's no comparison there. There's no doubt.
Alvin Kamara, the Saints running back, who had a good game. The Saints got their 35 points, even though they gave up 14 on the front end and 15 on the back end. It was enough to win. They had an incident that popped up late Saturday night when they got to Detroit, 10:40 p.m. Eastern. They found out that Michael Burton, the team's only fullback, had tested positive. So, time to figure out who he's been in contact with. The contact tracers flagged 3 people, but there were 4 other people he was sitting close to on the plane. So there were 7 guys who had to stay up until after 1 o'clock to wait to have their noses swabbed so they could be tested to see if they too were positive, and Kamara was one of them. And he told me, I really didn't sleep. 1:15, I went to bed. I kept waking up, checking my phone to see if there was any news. Eventually, Burton's positive turned out to be false, so everyone was in the clear, but that doesn't take away the disruption.
No, that's tough.
Kamara's very pragmatic about it. He's like, look, is what it is. Nobody cares. They're not going to delay the game for us. They're not going to feel bad for us. We're not going to get any extra points, right? We got to go play.
Right.
And they went and they played, and to their credit, and he said the 14-0 deficit had nothing to do with it. It didn't take them a while to get started or anything. It just happened. They were ready to play. They were fine. And this is one of the inconveniences we have to accept. I mean, again, I go back to when Roger Goodell refused to acknowledge there's a competitive advantage when teams have fans versus when they don't have fans. And what he should have said was, you ain't seen nothing yet. because there's going to be an entire gamut, an entire array, a universe of inequities that happen this year to try to hold 256 games together, assuming they even can, Chris.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, hey, we're going to see that tonight. We got a guy that's not playing, and his nickname is Superman, and he's not when it comes to COVID-19. It can even get to Superman, but it just speaks, to Kamara, the Saints, especially Sean Payton. I mean, Sean Payton is just, he gets credit for being the offensive genius that he is. But the other thing I think I love about Sean Payton is just his no nonsense, no BS, attitude he brings to a team. There's never an excuse. And I just like that about him, and it rubs off, and you see it in these type of situations. Yeah, they don't care. They don't blink an eye. Oh, yep, we're down 14-0. So what? We've been here before. We'll just keep doing what we do. We believe we're the better team, and the longer we play this game, the better team will prevail. And that's exactly what they did. And Kamara, as you mentioned in the last statement, I feel like ever since he got paid, it's just like, screw it, pedal to the metal. I'm going to take over every time I touch the ball, and he's been amazing.
A dynamic that I alluded to earlier about Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, beyond Stefanski acknowledging that he's got to do a better job of getting the ball in Odell Beckham Jr.'s hands, playing at AT&T Stadium in Dallas or Arlington or wherever it is, somewhere close.
Dallas. They're the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas
They're in freaking Dallas, okay?
I know.
I'm so sick of that
really
crap.
I
know, but we don't go. The Giants and the Jets are playing Jersey.
Is this an early grievance that teams should be required to either play in the city they're named for or be named for the city in which
exactly?
They play?
I don't have time to be sitting on TV going like, oh, there's a Dallas or Arlington. Like, no, you're the freaking Dallas Cowboys. Oh, sorry, you built your stadium somewhere else. You're still the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care.
Anyway, it's a 100,000-seat stadium, and they had 20 to 25,000 people there. It was the first time the Browns had been in front of a crowd like that all year. They fed off of that. They recognize that it's special. See, Cowboys players may take it for granted because they're there 8 times a year. The Browns are there once every 8 years. And between Myles Garrett, who grew up near that stadium, Baker Mayfield, who's got strong ties to Texas, Odell Beckham Jr., who knows a thing or two about playing in that stadium and playing against the Cowboys, that caused the team to want to show up and have a big performance. And I wish I had ridden that feeling last week when it ricocheted around my torso and disappeared. And I'm not saying, hey, I knew this was coming. No, I dismissed it. I had the thought, and I dismissed it. And I wish I hadn't. I wish I would have at least grabbed it and thought about it and worked it through some, because there was something there. And let me tell you, when it was 41-14, I was thinking Bears, Cowboys, 1985, now, look, the 85 Bears were a special team, but that's when we first noticed the 85 Bears.
Right.
When they went to Dallas and curb stomped the Cowboys 44-0. That's what it made me think of. This is a statement game. And it changed. It wasn't a statement game. 49-38 isn't a statement. 41-14 is. 49-38 is, hey, that's a shootout. And as it turns out, the Browns had to hold on for their dear life because the Cowboys made it very interesting late, as they tend to do. But bottom line, the Browns, this is not the Browns team that we're used to. This is a franchise that won 4 games in 3 seasons. They've won 3 games in 3 weeks, and they rose to the occasion. When's the last time a Browns team rose to the occasion? I can't remember it.
No.
Can you, Chris?
No, I don't think I can either. You were saying it, and I was sitting there going, I don't know when is that last time. I'm not even sure. You're exactly right about that. But they're showing some toughness as a football team. I think that's what you're speaking of. They got a little bit of a vibe that way, to where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, but we're gonna get it done and win the game. I don't know how it's going to happen, if it's going to be Nick Chubb or reverses or a Baker Mayfield big pass, but they seem like they are building that confidence that way. And it's, Stefanski all the way. Definitely. I mean, just what he's done, he's the one that's added that toughness to their football team and kind of we know what they are. They have an identity. We talk about that all the time. Yeah, their defense is still a work in progress, but offensively, They have something to build on there, and they have something that we talk about a lot, where now you're really good at one thing, and it's going to force the defense's hand, and hopefully Stefanski continue to push himself to where he can be a step ahead. All right, I got good at this. They're going to start doing this. Now, what's going to be your move off of it? What is going to be that next move? And right now, he seems to be ahead of the curve there, at least the last few weeks.
Toughness, the operative word, the next two games. Colts
and
Steelers.
Whoa.
We'll find out a lot.
Maybe the two best defenses.
In the course of the next 2 weeks.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.